welcome to another edition of the Movie Kit Happy Hour. I'm going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is the start of the summer movies, and it's a very exciting time for me. I love summer movies, and this one is a great one to start it off. And for our happy hour, I am drinking Guardian Punch, which is a mixture of vodka and rum, blackberries, which are sticking in my teeth, strawberries, and a little bit of Midori, except for that little extra flavor to it. And I guess it kind of looks like Drax's color. I mean, there was every color under the rainbow is in Guardians of the Galaxy. There's green, there's blue, and there's purple. So yay. And it's very good and refreshing. Very fruity. So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'm going to just start off by saying I loved it. I thought it was a great continuation of the story. Great to see these guys all together again. And it's kind of like an episode of Guardians of the Galaxy this time around, because they're already established. They're mercenaries now for hire, and they go in and they do some planet or some race's bidding to do, catch this or kill that or whatever, and they do a good job at it. In fact, I think the opening sequence to this movie is probably one of the best I've seen in a long time, and I'll get to it later on why. But first, I want to say that the original Guardians, everyone was just, they didn't know what to expect, and everyone's like, "What's Guardians of the Galaxy?" And the Marvel people were like, "Trust me, you're gonna like this." They cast Chris Pratt as this character, Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, and everyone's like, "Okay, Chris Pratt, he's in Parks and Recs. He's kind of a funny guy." And then all of a sudden he got totally chiseled, worked his body out, and now he's this gorgeous... Well, he was always cute, but now he's like, amazing to look at, as well as being very funny and that little dry sense of humor and sort of the self-effacing sense of humor. And he's just perfect as Star-Lord. So everyone's like, wow, this is such a great movie, this offbeat, quirky thing, and I think that kind of translated into the movies afterwards, all the Marvel movies afterwards, the Captain Americas and the Avengers. There was always now this sort of, wink sometimes, and all this, the humor that they sort of infused in it. I honestly feel that came from Guardians, because they said, hey, that really works. So this time around, James Gunn is back on board again, and as like I say, they tell us this sort of succinct story. And it also answers the question that everybody was asking, is who is Peter Quill's dad? Well, it's Kurt Russell. And he is an otherworldly being, but I won't tell you exactly what the whole deal was, because it's kind of interesting. And they reconnect. But it actually, besides being just the quirky, funny parts to it, there's also a lot of touching moments between family, family dynamics. So you've got Peter Quill and his dad. You've got Gamora and Nebula, her sister, and they have their issues. And you've got Rocket and Yondu, who's actually the Michael Rooker part. He actually has a bigger part in this. And there were moments where you'd actually kind of tear up. And you're like, oh, this is very sweet. I'm pretty sure Michael Rooker would like this trip. That's just a side note. But for me, Baby Groot completely and utterly stole this movie. And he's one of the reasons why the opening sequence was so spectacular. And I just want you to see a little Groot for yourself right now.
I am Groot.
Flashlight. Of course, Awesome Mix 2 is, the soundtrack is, again, so spot on. I didn't get a chance to talk to James Gunn one-on-one, but, he's of my ilk. I was sort of youngish in the 70s, but my sisters weren't, and I used to get all kinds of influences from all kinds of different music, and he really finds some obscure stuff that you forget how great it was, and he incorporates it in the movie. It's almost like a character in itself, some of the soundtrack that he incorporates, because of course, it means so much to Peter, because it was his connection to his mom. Anyway, the soundtrack's just as great as it was in the first one, and it's even, just other songs that you just forget about and how good they were. The only thing I would also say about this that bothered me a little bit was the action sequences were pretty great, especially that opening one I was telling you about, but the end climactic big final sequence went on a little too long for me. A lot of CGI. A lot of things going on, very frenetic. I felt like, it should have been maybe just concentrated on one or two things. It was just, there was a lot happening. And the other thing that I was a little disappointed about, but I actually understand, is that it didn't really tap into the Thanos Infinity Stones war that's coming up. And I kind of wanted a little bit of that, just maybe a hint here and there. But at the end of the movie, of course, Marvel's, known for this. There are 5 end credit scenes. So you sit your butt down, man. You got to stay for all 5 of them. And one of them might be a kind of a hint on what might be happening later. But I can't wait for... Oh, come back. I can't wait for these guys to hook up with the Avengers. I mean, how awesome is that going to be? I'm really looking forward to it. So yes, big thumbs up for Volume 2. I think you're going to love it just as much. Next week, we've got... I think we're going to do King Arthur, The Legend of the Sword. I think it's just called King Arthur. Guy Ritchie, who I'm actually, he's had some hits and misses, but I think he's a pretty good director. It's his take on the Arthurian legend, starring Charlie Hunnam. So I've seen it already. So we'll talk about that next week. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and have fun at